Hi everyone, welcome to Life Tips by Ning. In today's video, I'm sharing the explanation for the 30th hexagram in I-Ching called the clinging. So based on the image, this is a pure fire one because both the inside and the outside triagram are both fire. So in order to understand its meaning, let's start with the traits of fire. Fire is kind of attached. It needs to be attached to something to see the flare. Like it needs to be fed on wood or some sort of a fuel. By itself, it cannot last forever. So that's kind of similar to our internal values or principles. Those are not super visible, but how you can see them is through people's speech, behavior, the type of decision they make, especially during challenging situations. So the principle is clinged, is attached to the external visible human actions. Similar to fire is attached to the internal feeling it. So the number one meaning for this 30th hexagram is I'm attached to something, right? So fire can be both good and bad. Sometimes it's a source of warmth. It helps us cook. It gives us light. So it spreads, like figuratively speaking, it means spreading civilization or development. Those are all the positive traits. However, it can also have a negative catastrophe, kind of catastrophic connotation, like a mountain fire or wildfire that will kill people. So it's the same item, but it can have drastically opposite effects. The determining factor for the difference is what do you cling yourself to. If you attach yourself to the righteous way, the middle way, the way that follows the rhythm of the universe, then it's all smooth and positive. Is more leaning toward the strength of fire. On the contrast, if you clean yourself and attach yourself to external lucrative stuff or money, fame, all those external things, that's not the same standards of the law of the universe, then eventually it will lead to disaster, failure. So that's the lesson this hexagram is trying to teach us. And secondarily, if you dissect this image of fire, the inside is a yin line, which are wrapped and surrounded by two yang lines. It's meaning that inside you have to leave some space. Don't fill it up. Leave some softness and approachability, adaptability in your heart that you're more than willing to adapt, to learn from other people, be very inclusive, rather than taking that very direct, aggressive, and too much power. Because if you have too much power, you are running into that risk of uncontrolled fire, which is more damaging. However, you can take this softer, leave some empty space inside. You're more than willing to follow other people, then you're pushing yourself to be better positioned in a more the positive traits of fire, right? You're controllably, step by step, spreading your values, spreading civilization in a very productive manner. So that's the point of the 30th hexagram. If I have to boil it down, it's two keywords. One is, are you adhering to principle? Is the righteous way? And the second point is, are you soft enough? Are you leaving space inside so that you're not super aggressive and like very dominating? So as long as you can take the softer approach, it's more controlled energy, and that's going to serve you well. So that's the two main points. And in terms of individual lines, that's the whole methodology for I-Ching understanding. If the line is following the wisdom of the overall hexagram, it typically leads to a very positive outcome. So you can see, right, if it's against it, then you have a misfortunate or negative result. So the first one is a yang line, meaning that it's the beginning of something you're liking experience. Would you like a little kid play with matches and play with fire? Definitely not, because they don't know better. And they might actually accidentally create and light a house on fire or something. So that's the point of it. When you get yourself into a new beginning and a new adventure, please proceed with caution, because you don't know what complex situation or danger is ahead. As long as you can exercise caution and mindfulness, you should be able to prevent missteps. But this is not the time that you're going to achieve great success. But with caution, you should be able to prevent the situation of getting yourself in great danger. However, if you rush into it, going against the point of softer, step-by-step, cautiously proceeding type of yin mentality, then you will incur a lot of kind of bad surprises on yourself. So that's the point of the first one. The second line is actually a very good one. It's supreme fortune, is awesomeness. The reason for that really supremely positive result is this is a perfect line showcasing the wisdom of the overall hexagram. The original description for the second line is yellow fire. Why does it say yellow? This is going back to the fifth element concept in Chinese culture. Yellow is the color of earth, and out of the five elements, water is north, fire is south, wood is east, and metal is west. So what happened to the fifth one, earth? Earth is right in the middle. So earth has this inclusive, I will absorb everything from the external environment. I'm not going to be biased or lean towards either direction. I'm centered, grounded in the middle, very balanced. As long as you can kind of learn from the trait of the earth element, right? Meaning you're balanced, you're unwavering, you're very grounded, and everything is in moderation. I'm not going to do anything in excess. Because of that trait, he is the best embodiment of the clinging hexagram, the wisdom behind it. That's why you're able to lead to supreme fortune. Moving to the third line, that's not so much. It's like setting sun. You're going on a decline trend, which is part of nature. It's like human life. At birth, we eventually get strong, reach our prime time, and then go into our mature years, and eventually nearing the ending stage. So this is the ending stage. The light is fading. What is the righteous principle to follow in this situation? The right approach is to realize, objectively looking at the situation and see just part of nature, is part of the universe cycle. I shouldn't have a lot of self-pity, thinking I don't have much hope or a long runway ahead of me. But instead, you should just recognize this is what it is and be very kind of neutral and detached to worldly stuff, and more focus on the spiritual and your soul. But if you're not able to, which is more human default mode, right? We're gonna be very like, oh, pity me, I miss my old prime time. Now I don't have the same strength or achievement or light shining on me. I'm just kind of fading into the background. I'm so sad. All this kind of negative self-talk. If you have this default reaction, that will lead to a very negative result, which is despair, and kind of suck yourself in this negative zone that you can pull yourself out. Because the reason for that negative result is because you're deviating from the clinging principle, which is the middle way, the way that follows Tao, the rule and the law of the nature and universe. The fourth line, this is one of the worst ones out there. This one is saying that suddenly, unprepared, you just have a wildfire, a disaster, a natural disaster that nobody can control. It's out of humans' hand. It's kind of almost like a divine punishment or something. Like to the point that you lose your house, you lose your family, nobody's helping you, you have nowhere to stay, kind of running into a very, very desperate situation, and which will lead to complete collapse. This is a very one of the worst ones out there. And if you, for some unknown reason, land on this one, I mean, there's not much viable options out there. Like, there's not much you can do about it. Like, just not buckle down and try to just stay put and go through the disaster and miserable time and wait for the light to come back again. But this is the darkest of the darkest moment. It's pretty bad. The fifth one, this is the ruler position, right? I'm the king, I'm the guy in charge. But the line description says, almost looks like this king is going to cry. What does that really mean? It means, first of all, it has this humility. It saw this destruction, it saw the suffering. It has this empathy to care. And also because he's in a position of power, so I need to learn from this disaster and suffering. And I don't care what kind of situation I'm in now, but I also need to always remember the suffering in the past, be super cautious moving forward. And because of that caution, it's able to kind of put in a lot of contribution, work more than everybody else because he's the leader. And eventually he'll overcome all the obstacles and navigate through this danger and come clean out of it. But if you land on this one, it's like, even though the end result is neutral, it's telling you the process is bumpy. You have to go through it, and you have to put in extraordinary level of hard work to navigate through the danger. But you're able to do it because you're following that balanced principle, and you have this caution and the wise learning from past sufferings. Last but not least, this is the top line, which is the extreme stage or the ending phase of something. So sometimes not everybody's gonna follow you, even though you're trying to spread civilization or put some light into a corrupted or dark situation. There's always gonna be people who will ignore you and do their best stuff. So in that case, what do? You have to take action, punish them. The point of doing that is not to kill your opponents or killing for the sake of killing. The point is to turn this whole crowd around. So the line says, you only punish the leader of your enemy. You spare the rest of his followers, and you focus on reforming them rather than punishing them. And that's a really cool example of following the right way, taking this inclusive approach, right? So that's another good example of showcasing the wisdom of this hexagram, which is why it's gonna lead to restored order and a neutral outcome. So you have to punish, sometimes you have to take a more forceful approach, but don't do 1 ounce, one tiny step beyond what's necessary. So that's kind of an overall explanation of the 30th hexagram in I-Ching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.